Today, I'm going to cover a stock that has massive potential, especially with the earning calls just a few days away. So let's look into the health of this company, and then we'll do some technical analysis and what will be our entry and exit. So looking into their 10Q and their latest earnings call, their revenue has fallen in the last couple of quarters. So looking into what this company does, they're actually a data center and Bitcoin mining. Their EBITDA has fallen in the last couple of quarters, and they're actually looking to shrink the pie of the Bitcoin mining that's generating the most revenue for them. So that way they can grow their AI cloud data centers. They did have a record net income of 384 million, and a lot of it was just on paper. But one of the biggest news is that NVIDIA has the option to purchase the stock at $70 at 30 million, and they're vesting only as the GPU deliveries hit volume by 2031. Now that we've covered the things that are not in the press releases but in the earnings, let's dive deeper into the stock. So as mentioned, the revenue is down, but their AI cloud data centers are growing. Their total revenue was 145 million. Their AI cloud contribution was 33.6 million, up from 17.3 million last quarter. Their Bitcoin mining, as I mentioned, has decreased from 167 million to 111 million. So as the pie shrinks, the slice is growing. They did have a net loss of 284 million with an adjusted EBITDA of 59.5 million. Their revenue is down 40% since the last peak, but their AI cloud infrastructure has grown from 4% to 23%. They have raised their target twice in the last 10 months, going from 3.4 billion to 4 billion plus by July of 2026. But the great thing is that 85% of their target is already under contract. And that's huge for a company who's trying to grow their AI cloud infrastructure. As mentioned earlier, they did have a 385 million net income, but that was just all on paper. They have 140 million already booked and 188 million booked over the 9 months, with 520 million still to come. So the news is that NVIDIA has an option to purchase this stock at $70 for 30 million, which will equate to about $2.1 billion. Right now, IREN is sitting at 41.88. And for them to get to $70 is about a 67% increase. And they have 5 years to accomplish that. I think this is going to be super easy for this company to be able to do that, especially as they're growing their AI cloud infrastructure and massive contracts coming in from Microsoft. On that note, they recently had a press release where 1 out of the 5 data centers that they've committed to Microsoft has been approved. So now all they have to do is copy and paste for the rest of them to get that 1.9 billion from Microsoft. So how do they compare to their competitors? They're cheaper than the competitors who are in the Bitcoin mining, but a bit more expensive than the AI cloud. So personally, I feel like they're right in the middle of what they're built to do. So where do I think, in my personal opinion, the value of the stock? So they're currently sitting at $41.88. Personally, I'm around 38.47 cents, $39, which is not too far away from where they are. And I'll show you exactly how the technical analysis plays with my analysis of the stock price. So a couple of highlights: the demand is real. Microsoft and NVIDIA are paying. IREN just has to do the deliveries. And with 1 of the 5 data centers already approved, it should be very easy for them to do that. The revenue is shrinking, but that doesn't mean that they don't have the growth potential in the next few years. So let's jump into the technical analysis and tell you exactly where I think is a good entry and exit for the stock. So just looking at the stock at a 4-hour time frame, because I personally like to swing trade, and usually I don't get into stocks right before the earning calls, but this is such an interesting company that I feel like it has the potential to break out. So let me unhide my technical analysis, and if you're interested in learning how I do my technical analysis, just drop the comment analysis and I'll make a video exactly how I look at liquidity swings as well as my SMA and EMA indicators for the entry and exit for a stock. As you can see here, they've been on a massive decline all the way from around end of May to early June, where they peaked at around $71 all the way down to about 28. So them being able to get to $70 again for NVIDIA to maybe exercise their option shouldn't be that difficult. Now, after they got to this 28 mark, they did have a breakout of this downward channel at around $38, $39. In addition to that, they were below this 50 SMA, and they have broken out of that 50 SMA around on August 6th, August 7th. And this might just be the speculations or the news around IREN and Microsoft. So after this break, they did peak around 49.30, and they did have a little bit of cool off around $41. So I've drawn a couple of boxes here, and you can see this green box here shows where a lot of sellers were sitting, and they pushed the stock out of this 28 mark and broke it around 35. It did have a couple of touches here around July 31st and August 3rd at around 35.30, but they weren't able to break below that. So once the buyer pushed the stock up to around 49, there was a little bit of cool off and back into the 40-50. So based on my analysis, what I'm looking for is a bounce off of this 50 SMA. And as you can see, this 50 SMA turning green, which indicates there's a potential for a reversal. And if there's a bounce off of this 50 SMA, to me, that is a good entry point, but the candlestick has to be green. And another potential entry point is around $50. The reason being is because if the buyer are able to break out of this massive sell area that the sellers are sitting at, and we're able to do a liquidity swing off of this, making sure that there's a green candle out of this red box, because the last thing you want is a liquidity grab and there's reversal off of that and break below the 50 SMA where you get stuck in the stock. So that is why we're going to wait for this break out of this red area. And if there is a strong green candle out of this, given the speculations and the earning calls just a few days away, there's a potential for this stock to break out all the way up to $62 and potentially even get to $70 before 2031. So what am I doing? As I mentioned, I'm going to wait for these two locations. If there's a balance, I will get in at around 40, 50 off of this 50 SMA with a green candle, or a break out of this $50 with a strong green that shows me that there's enough volume there to push this stock up. As always, this is not financial advice. This is what I'm doing. It's for entertainment purposes. Please don't follow my trades. Make sure you're trading with your own conviction.